Hello, eRank. Welcome to another live Thursday Q&A with me, Pam Duthie, and her, Starla. But that way. And then it'll flip when it goes on the screen anyway. And her, Starla Moore. This is your place for all your Etsy and eRank related questions. How are you today, Starla?
I'm okay. I almost didn't make it because Monday, I know it's like everybody keeps asking, like, are you like immune compromised or something because you're always sick? Because on Tuesday I had like food poisoning. I was throwing up and it was so bad, and I just got over the flu. So it's just like one thing after another. But thankfully I'm able to eat today. So
that's handy. Yeah.
things
Definitely the worst weight loss plan in the world, getting food poisoning.
We keep talking about it. Mark is how much weight have you lost? Like 8 pounds? He's got his headphones and he's lost so much weight because we got sick. And I'm like, you know what? It sucks to get sick, but let's keep riding this wave. If we keep eating healthy and like work out, maybe we can keep this.
Yeah, if you use it as a good motivation, not riding the wave. It's like, let's get some rotten chicken.
Let's
get extra sick.
It kind of makes me like, not eating for several days because I was sick. It actually just makes me want to eat like really bad stuff now that I can eat. So that's a great diet. Yeah. See, Starla, this is the Starla diet plan. Get really, really sick and don't eat anything, and then eat way too much after you feel better.
Yeah, no, I think the best one is what Anna and myself are not suffering, enjoying just now is we've had spring for like a week. It's been awesome. So I've not been eating because I've been out walking on the hills whenever there's a moment to do it. It's so much nicer. So
it's been nice here too. I feel like our weather is very congruent despite the fact that we're parallel. I mean, we're like if you were to draw a line from where I am to where you are, I mean, I think you're a little more north than me, right? Like I'm in Ohio, so I'm still, you're not too far off in terms of where.
Oh, it's all connected. The mountains here are connected to some over there. And they're all the same. When everything was all together, we were connected to you rather than connected to England. So not saying anything there, but
it's been very warm. We did have, Miranda said that there was a tornado outbreak and she woke up with a tree on the house. Oh no!
Oh wow! Oh, I hope everything's okay. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have that kind of weather. I look at that and that's so scary to see. You have all the weather.
It was apparently really bad. Like Mark was about to wake us up to, go down in the basement because the wind was so bad. And we thought that we were getting tornadoes. But apparently we didn't. So I just slept through it all. There was thunder and lightning and booms, and the dogs were apparently freaking out, and I didn't even wake up. I was just, so if a tornado were to have hit our house, I probably would have been like asleep in my little bed, just spinning around like not even,
brilliant. That's got to be a thumbnail image for something. Starla being flown away. Yes.
All right. Well, we didn't really have like a big topic in mind today. However, Pam did post in the eRank group and asked about some of the things that sellers are struggling with, what their biggest issues are. Unfortunately, I don't think we can help with any of the issues that were posted, but we're definitely here to listen and, give
we can sympathize with you because we feel a lot of it as well.
Sometimes you just need someone to validate like your feelings, when things feel awful, which this Tuesday, I'm actually going to be publishing a video. I don't know if we're going to do it like as a recorded video or a live stream, but we had almost 4,000 sellers take our Etsy seller survey to get their feelers out about how they're feeling about Etsy right now, how they're feeling about fees. Anthony contributed some of the questions, especially some about Etsy ads. So we're going to be looking at that data today, going over it. And then on Tuesday, I'll either do like a reaction video or a pre-record or a live. I haven't even decided, but we'll go over a lot of those feelings. That way, if you you're feeling like, oh, did anybody else feel this way, or is it just me? Like, is anybody else experiencing this, or is it just me? Like I said, sometimes it's just good to know that, oh, thousands of other people are also feeling this way, and when we look at it in terms of like this seller survey, despite the fact that it's an independent survey, we're not sending it to Etsy. Etsy doesn't care about, what we're doing, but Etsy's conducting their own surveys. So it kind of gives us an idea of what sellers are saying to Etsy as well. Because if we're hearing these things like in the thousands, Etsy is likely also hearing those things in the thousands. And it might help to give us some indication of the things that Etsy is aware of and hopefully working to fix, because they are doing a little bit better this year. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but just based on the last few years, I mean, things were really, really bad in terms of customer support last year. It's still not good. But there was a point when you couldn't even contact a customer support agent at all. And now at least most sellers have the ability to do that. Whereas previously, like even big sellers had no way to contact Etsy. Granted, it still takes them forever to respond, and I can't, verify how good the responses are. I think it just depends on your support agent. Like some people have had great experiences with Etsy staff. Pam and I have both had some awful experiences with Etsy staff where we've known more than them and had to educate them about things. So I think it really just depends on who you work with. But it is, a good lesson in remembering that always, when you enter a chat with any customer service person, always be respectful and be kind, because you don't want to take like the one good one and immediately start off with a negative tone. And then, Etsy loses that good staff member and then they replace them with a bad staff member. Like, make sure that we're actually acknowledging when things are getting solved and doing good. Or I don't know if Etsy, do they do like, how would you rate like your conversation surveys?
Yep. Oh yeah, I've definitely, hilariously. Oh, I didn't want to be ranting at Etsy. It's not really a rant, but I've had. I was having one of those interesting chats where I knew a little bit more than the customer service one, and where they're not actually answering the question you're giving them, they're answering what they think you're asking. And so she responds to me and she says, "Oh, does that cover your question?" And I'm like, "No." And I was busy typing. This is specifically what I'm saying. And she closed the chat and sent a questionnaire of how did we do. You could see I was still typing and you closed the chat. Wow.
Yeah. And anybody who goes back and, reviews that chat history, like, I would assume that with most customer support jobs, they don't look at every single like bad rating, but they'll probably pick a couple out of the bunch and do a little review of them, because I'm sure that even the best customer support agents at Etsy get bad reviews just because somebody's ticked off and they don't like the answer, even if the answer is you can't drop ship, you can't sell Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
If they don't like the answer, they're going to be mad about it. But some of the comments that we had, though, Angelica said, "Love Etsy." That, you know what? I'm so happy that you said that. And in our survey, we actually had a lot of people say that they do love Etsy. It's just that, Etsy occasionally does things that we don't like. But and was able to grow my business there. But one of the biggest struggles is the lack of customer support, especially for longtime sellers like me. I had an issue where deposits weren't being sent to my bank and support was unresponsive. They just straight up ignored me. Etsy's great until it's not. And I think that's the big thing. Like, it's great, but sometimes when you have a big issue, like not getting paid, I can understand that it gets very frustrating very quickly. The biggest killer of any business is uncertainty, and selling on Etsy feels uncertain, especially when something is as crucial as payments is involved. And I love that she positioned this with like, you know, a positive. Like Etsy's great, the platform's great, and I agree. Etsy is still, it is the cheapest place to sell. It's a fantastic platform. It's easy to get started. You can, I mean, it guides you through the process, like when you first start up a shop. It's just when these little, or I guess I should say big, you know, problems pop up. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of prioritization based on the urgency of an issue. And, you know, we got to remember that Etsy has a lot of sellers too. So
Yeah.
like, it's probably hard.
But you're right. I think when people's shops get closed down or when they're not getting money and things, it would be nice if that was prioritized, even if the priority was for them to say, yep, we've looked into it and your shop's shut down, bye-bye. It's frustrating, but people are waiting weeks and months to get answers on these things, which is not cool. I just remembered while you were talking about customer support, now that it's the 3rd of April, if anyone could let us know what's happened with them in their shop, if you had listings that weren't expiring, because Etsy had promised now they were going to be manually deactivating those listings on the 1st of April. They chose a great day for something.
Miranda,
and the
reason, I was hoping you would comment, because Miranda emailed me already and they were not.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had a few people say that. Actually, to an extent, I knew there was going to be a glitch. I knew there was going to have a problem with it, because the reason I'm remembering this is because a lot of people contacted Etsy customer support over the past 2 years about this, and they were told, no, there's no issue, there's no problem at all, everything's fine. And suddenly they realized there is an issue. So Etsy said they were going to do this thing to all of those listings on the 1st of April, which is a hilarious day to have chosen. But
bad timing.
I knew there's no way it was going to happen smoothly because there's so many listings. That's why I suggested to people maybe hold back on creating new listings that day, because something was going to go wrong. So yeah, the listings weren't manually expired. I have heard some people say that. Pups Style Linda is saying had a couple expired, but that's it. Yep.
Yeah, Miranda said I'm also getting an error when I click the renew button on my dashboard to do them all. It says my shipping info isn't filled out. And again, just now that Etsy's at least like not gaslighting us and they're acknowledging like, oh yeah, this is a problem. Hopefully everybody's experiencing this, but hopefully enough people are experiencing these issues that Etsy's taking note, just like last time. The fact that they're already aware of the issues, it was different when they weren't acknowledging it at all, but now that they are aware and they've stated that they're working on it, it's more likely to eventually get resolved because it seems to be more at the top of their priority list. So just if you are having issues or continuing to have issues, don't be afraid to reach out to their support and let them know, because it's usually not one voice that they listen to, it's a collective voice.
Yep. And the shipping thing as well, if these are listings that have been not expiring for years, there is a chance Etsy has changed things over the years. Potentially there might be something wrong with your listing, so it is worth checking, because they changed some of the shipping things not that long ago. So there might be an issue with the listing that's worth checking. I think probably the other elephant in the room that I see Jessica's been dealing with very nicely in the chat that we probably should mention, and it's a good thing that Etsy's doing, is yesterday the tariffs were announced, the US tariffs. Now, we don't have much information on it, but I believe the White House just stated the de minimis is still existing except for China at the minute in time, is the last I heard. So everyone in the rest of the world, continue sending your packages if they're below the de minimis, which is about $800 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm assuming that most sellers here probably aren't selling products for $800 unless you make like furniture or very expensive jewelry. So,
and if you're over that, people will probably be happy to pay a bit more anyway, so they might be expecting that. But this is a good point from Etsy, because Etsy have been in the forums updating every time there's an update. Now, yesterday, just after the announcements, their only update was, we're looking into it and we'll update the handbook when we find out more. But it means there is a team actually looking into the tariffs, because I know it's a worrying time for everybody. Hopefully it's not something that's going to affect most of us directly in our Etsy businesses, or at least not just now.
Yeah. Back to the Facebook post, Jackie had said Etsy having listings that are bestsellers and are copyright. So unfortunately, the bestseller badge is, I'm assuming, more of a threshold thing based on like sales in that amount of time, not an actual Etsy person saying, you know, awesome, you get a special award. Just keep in mind that bestseller badge means more visibility for those listings. However, more visibility means more likely for those listings to actually get picked up on by the IP owners, or somebody contacts the IP owners. We got to remember that Etsy, they aren't the owners of that IP, nor can they can't keep track of every piece of IP. And we say, well, Disney, you know, but if Etsy takes responsibility for Disney, they also have to take responsibility for like artwork by little businesses as well, which is a lot harder to track, because Etsy doesn't just contain all the knowledge of all the art and things in the world. And if Etsy were to take responsibility for one, they would have to take responsibility for all, which is why, as a platform, Etsy has, you know, been able to step away and say the IP owners can report it. And when they do, we will do everything that we need to do to make sure that that listing gets taken down. So in this case, especially when it comes to things like Disney, it's more about Disney's response. And, you know, Disney does go after these sellers. You can right now look up cases of shops getting shut down, though many, you know, most people who get shut down for this reason don't go out and like talk about it, because they realize that they've done something wrong. But it definitely does happen a lot. And you see a lot of Reddit threads and things about it.
Well, if anyone's been watching and I haven't done any for a couple of weeks now, this top Etsy shop, I've been looking into the top Etsy shops opened this year. One of them, it wasn't Disney, it was Labubu Dolls. And basically that shop was shut down before I managed to get my video posted. So, yeah. You know, and I followed quite a few other of the same type of IP, and quite a lot of them have been shut down. So you'll see some of the big sellers that get noticed. It could well be that Disney is just sitting rubbing their hands watching the sales run in and go, when we jump, we've got a whole lot of evidence to take you to court and really, really spank you for this one. So, yep. But Starla's right. The bestseller badges are automated by Etsy. They're not by a person. At the minute in time, the Etsy pick badges are supposed to be by a person. So if you see an Etsy pick badge on something that you think breaks Etsy rules, message Etsy about have a big complaint. That's a training issue from them. And it is a kind of big deal, because they did mention last year that they're using the Etsy pick badges to train the AI into what's a good listing. So if something has an Etsy pick badge and it clearly isn't a good listing, tell Etsy.
Absolutely. And going along with, you know, the copyright shops getting shut down, Neil had said that shops can get shut down for no apparent reason and then have to fight to be heard, which does happen. Good sellers who are following all the rules do get caught up in the mix. I think that it happens a lot less frequently than what we see, though. It does happen. I've had students of mine very recently who it has happened to, and I know that these sellers are handmade. They have, one of my students was a painter. She was an artist, and there were pictures of her painting the art. There is no disputing that it is her art and she is painting it, and it is like nature and not characters or anything she could have gotten in trouble for. And her shop was shut down by mistake, and thankfully she was able to get it reopened, but it was a couple weeks of, you know, lots of stress for her.
I bet.
However, most of the time when we see people in Facebook groups venting and so mad, and I hate Etsy and everyone should leave Etsy. We talked about this last year, but last April, my husband Mark and I reviewed the shops of around 300 different sellers who had been suspended. And we put their shops into the Wayback Machine and looked at what their shops, looked like before they got shut down. And a majority of the people who contacted us to say my shop was shut down for no reason were either drop shipping junk that they were buying on Temu or wherever, not even changing the pictures. They were using the same images. And this isn't one of the cases of Etsy stole or Temu stole their pictures. This was like cheap junk jewelry that you could buy on a million different Chinese websites. Like, it was clearly not handmade, or it was blatant copyright infringement. And when I was actually in communication with Etsy's head of customer support, unfortunately, he doesn't work there anymore. But, one of the things that I discussed with him was that, like, I understand that there are a lot of sellers who aren't following the rules. So we made it a point to only pass through to him, like, the sellers that were, doing good. But the thing that I wanted to really encourage Etsy to do, which they apparently didn't, was just give justifications for why the suspension happened. I think that as long as sellers know why they got in trouble, it will open the doors to communication in Facebook groups. That way, so-and-so's shop got shut down because blah, blah, blah. My shop got shut down because blah, blah, blah. Here's a screenshot of the email about why my shop got shut down. When you don't get an email at all, and it's just like, I don't know, you assume you didn't do anything wrong. When in reality, I think a lot of these sellers are doing things wrong. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't realize you can't sell Mickey Mouse sweatshirts, or maybe they don't realize that, you can't drop ship. It was funny, Pam. I was actually Googling Etsy courses. Just, I'm getting ready to open Handmade Alpha Academy in June, and I wanted to see like how the other coaches are like optimized, and I made it to the second page of Google because I really wanted to like dig in. And on the second page, there is an Etsy drop shipping course that pops up like immediately. And in vidIQ, vidIQ, it's like one of the most searched things on YouTube. When you search for like Etsy related content, one of the top things that people search for on YouTube is Etsy dropshipping, how to drop ship on Etsy, Etsy dropshipping tutorial. Now, I think a lot of sellers confuse POD for drop shipping, and they're different things. But yeah, it's just crazy that so many sellers don't realize that you can't just buy junk and resell it.
I was going to say that very much. I just joined a new Facebook group for Etsy sellers, and I'm regretting it instantly. 90% of the posts are, I will open you up a drop shipping Etsy shop, or people posting and saying, I paid for someone to set me up a drop shipping shop and they've disappeared. And I just, because I just responded to a couple like, why would I give you money to make me a shop that's breaking Etsy rules? And so many people are answering going, what rules? That's not breaking rules. Like, people genuinely don't know. And there's also forever there's been rules. There's not been rules. There's been advice from people, and people repeating advice saying, oh, it's like you can sell Disney stuff just so long as you draw it yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you don't don't put it in the tags or something like that. No, there's no way around it. You can't, and you can't drop ship. It's very clear in Etsy rules, and you can't make stuff based on someone else's IP.
Yeah. Or you can't use keywords related to an IP if your product isn't. Like, if you make a necklace with a dragon on it, but you think it would go, Game of Thrones would be a good keyword. You can't do that either. You cannot use another brand or artist or entity in any way to sell your product without their permission, because you're hoping to take their customers and persuade them to buy your products, or you're using their name to profit on something, even if it's in your tags. So it's just a lot of misinformation. And, unfortunately, when you try to find tutorials and things on this, there isn't a whole lot out there. I mean, my channel covers it, we cover it, but a lot of the big YouTubers, I almost feel like they're afraid that they'll alienate like a percentage of their audience if they tell their audience, hey, you can't do this particular thing, because it is something popular that people do.
Exactly. The message that sells is how to make $10 million in 2.5 weeks on Etsy.
Not how to not get sued.
Exactly. Yep. So sadly, the videos that float to the top are the ones doing the thing that people want to see, and people don't want to see it's tough and you've got to make your own stuff, and there's no shortcuts for a long-term business. That's always been the case, but people want to get rich quick, which I totally understand. You always want the quick thing.
Yeah. And I mean, if there was a way to become successful super duper fast on any selling platform, just in general, then everybody would be doing that thing. Like, if there was a magic diet pill that made you lose a bunch of weight, everybody would be doing that thing. I guess Ozempic is kind of doing that, but
yeah, just say they're kind of is now, isn't
right?
There?
They're kind of, but we're not rich enough to afford Ozempic. So, but Mark's like, that's not true. I don't want it. Okay. But I think that, anything worth doing takes time, and nothing that is life-changing is something that is going to be easy or comfortable. And I always talk about this. I even talked about it when I went to my local high school and spoke to the seniors. I was talking to them about the scariest things that they'll ever do. I'm like, picking what you're going to go to college for, terrifying. And it's going to take a bunch of work, and you're going to have to, you're going to have to learn a whole bunch, and you're going to have to, spend a lot of time like making big decisions, and it's going to be really scary, but it's totally worth it to decide what you're going to do with your life. Getting married, super scary. It's a big leap, terrifying. It's life-changing though. And it's something that, hopefully you're really happy with. Having a child, terrifying, awful, terrible experience. Like, I hated every minute of it, but I'm happy with the result because, but everything.
Yeah, but you've got a cool child and a cool husband as well. That does help.
That's true. But anything that is going to change your life, it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. And, a lot of the times it's not going to be fun. It's only as fun as you make it. And people like Pam and I, we try to make it more fun. I've definitely seen some educators who don't make the process fun. Like, I'm sure that we've all sat through like a YouTube video and it's just a PowerPoint presentation and you just want to take a nap. Like, we try to make things like fun and silly and, but, at the end of the day, it is work. And some people are going to be willing to do the work and some people aren't. And often what you hear are a lot of the voices of the people who aren't willing to do the work, and they're upset that it's taking more work than they anticipated. It's going to take you a couple years to be successful. And yeah, there are rare cases of sellers doing well in a very short period of time. Even with my own coaching program, I am straight up with my sellers who join me and telling them that, like, look, I'm eliminating a lot of the trial and error out of the process, but this is still probably going to take you a couple years. Like, you're not just going to do the course and be successful. And every once in a while we end up with a seller who has like a crazy, awesome, amazing product. Like when Mabel the Woodle, she switched from POD to doing, denim dog vests. Have you seen her dog vests?
Yeah.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
And now she has like just a winning product that sells like crazy. And now she's already like top 90% of Etsy sellers, like just because she hit a sweet spot. Like, it does happen. Those are the rare cases. Those are the cases that you don't see very often, but it really does push you to be a little bit more creative and to, think outside the box, because almost all of my students who have had these absolutely transformative shops and products. Even Miranda, obviously things are a little slower now, but Miranda has a lot of sales, and you're doing really well on Fair, right? Miranda has an amazing, beautiful, cohesive shop of, relatively low cost products because she's selling bookmarks. But because everything is so aesthetic and creative and everything just fits together, and she has just killed it with her social media account. She has the warmest, coziest social media ever. She's been able to carve herself an awesome niche with something that's truly unique. So, again, this is why shops that just buy a bunch of creative Fabrica assets and try to slap them on shirts, like, usually don't do that good, because everybody else is also doing that. What are you doing that's completely different?
Yeah, well, that's a follow on from where you said if there was an easy way to do something, everybody would be doing it. Whenever something new happens, there sort of is an easy way. Like when Instagram Reels came out, it was an easy way to grow your Instagram. But by the time people have figured that out and start teaching you that, it's already too late because everybody's already doing it. So the great product that someone's had the idea for and it's absolutely taken off, you can't copy them and say, they've had this great idea, it's worked for them, so I'm going to copy them and I'm going to do amazing, because chances are it's already too late for you to do that. The people who do great are the ones who find a great product, do something better or first than everybody else, and also probably have made mistakes and done some trial and error as well. It's very rare for your first thing to be the thing that does great.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of really cool people in here with some really cool shops. And yeah, I think in our past few months where we've been doing listing critiques, there are some things that you're just sitting there going, you just need to get the luck where someone spots you. Really, so sometimes, yeah, it's this is absolutely cool and it should take off at some point. But
absolutely. And I mean, you see it in our, like, we can't fake genuine enthusiasm, and we try to be, we don't want to hurt your feelings, but sometimes, like, if your pictures need work, like, we're going to tell you your pictures need work. If we're just trying to critique you because you submitted your shop and we don't have anything bad to say, like, that's a good indicator that maybe, like Miranda said, Fair is outselling Etsy by thousands. I think there's something wrong with my Etsy shop. It took such a massive nosedive so suddenly. And, that's something to definitely keep track of. And it's good that you have another basket. You don't have all your eggs in one basket. And obviously, if Fair is doing well for you, especially for the types of products that you sell, I would go like full out on Fair. I think that, Miranda, you've hit a point, because you have so many sales. I think that you've hit that point where you're safe to start, like, when a little restaurant starts doing really good, they start franchising out, you know what I mean? And they start, like, putting more of their little restaurants all over the place. I could see you starting to really branch out, because especially since Etsy, especially if Etsy's like not, don't close your Etsy shop because you've got so many sales. But if it's just not bringing in what you need for growth, it might be the time to start diversifying a little bit, and, just to see, because obviously it's going to take you some time to diversify. And, that's a big time commitment, especially if you're, making a lot of sales on Fair, which it sounds like you are. Honestly, Fair is like the best possible place for you with a low cost item, being able to sell in bulk. People who are able to sell on Fair, I highly recommend doing it. Amber and Marie saw the same thing because she sells greeting cards. They're relatively low cost, but if somebody wants to, have a whole rack of them in their physical storefront, they're buying them by the hundreds, and they need, hundreds of different dog breeds to stock in their store. Fair is like that whole, thing that I always say of, it's easier to make one $100 sale than it is to make $101 sales. Etsy is the $101 sales. Fair is the $100 sale.
yeah, but I will say, like there's a season for everything, and sometimes you do need to refresh your Etsy shop. Sometimes your big sellers stop becoming big sellers, or they might die off for a few months. But I did want to show something if people haven't seen it yet. We have brought a little something back to eRank. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. So this is our sites tool. It's only for our pro and expert members just now. So I'll share it here whenever whenever we can, so you can see the data. But this is for Etsy.com, the reach in the US. Just to show you if your sales have taken a nosedive for anyone. Yeah. This is normal that we come out of the new year with a little bit of momentum from the holiday season, and things are dropping. And in general, across the whole of Etsy, they're going to be dropping. Now, if you have a wedding shop, or if you do great for Easter or something, you might buck that trend. But this is a site-wide trend. This is, well, it's not just a site-wide, this is an industry-wide trend.
Oh yeah, so we reviewed Etsy, Target, Amazon, Walmart, Temu. Like, we went over as many e-commerce sites as we could think of live a couple weeks ago, and the only one that saw an uptick was Joann's, because they're going bankrupt and closing down, and people are buying the last minute deals. Everybody else was in that decline.
Yeah, not seeing anything good here just now, Hank. Yeah, I'm just playing around with stuff. But yeah, everybody, it's normal. And as the weather gets better and kids come out of school and people go on holidays and stuff, it's just going to get worse. I'm not saying that to depress people, although it is fairly depressing, but it's just to be realistic and say, from now is the time to work on setting up a fair shop, if you know, setting up a shop somewhere, if that's going to help you, building your social media, getting good photographs, or planning your next range, doing the keyword research for your next range or something. It's not saying you're not going to get sales. There absolutely are sales to be had, but you're not going to get Christmas levels of sales for quite a few months now.
Yeah. And last week we talked about it on the Friday Bean. We were talking about Redbubble over there. I like speed ran a Redbubble shop setup. But so it's been 4 weeks now. I started a brand new Instagram for my Chihuahua Sugar Bear, because I wanted to see, like, realistically, if I were to start a shop and my target audience was fellow Chihuahua owners, which is very niche, you know, that's not just dog owners. That is a very specific dog. How quickly could I build an audience using cute videos of Sugar Bear? And then if I were to start, you know, a Redbubble shop to link in her bio, and, you know, put like all the money will go to buy treats for Sugar Bear or something. I'm already over 400 followers just from posting cute videos of my dog, you know, doing the reels and keyword optimizing the captions. And then going and, you know, finding other accounts, other Chihuahua owners, following their accounts. Oh, your dog is so cute. They're coming and commenting on mine, you know, asking about specific toys they see Sugar Bear playing with. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, you know, there's a lot of other things I could do with Sugar Bear's account. I could create a story highlight with Amazon affiliate links with all of the enrichment toys that, you know, every time someone says, what toy is that? You know, what type of Kong is that? Where can I get that? I can say, oh, I've got, you know, a link in my story highlight, like you can buy it there. There's so many little ways that you can, you know, grow a newbie business, but it is possible. The point that I'm trying to make is that in 4 weeks, I was able to gain, I'm probably coming up on 500 followers, if not close to. I haven't been quite as active on there this week, but it just kind of shows that, like, it is possible. You just have to put in a little bit of work. With Sugar Bear's account, I've been finding really cute music. The most popular video that I posted was, we get the BarkBox subscription, and they sent a 420 box. and there was like all these like little 420 themed products, but the one video that I posted was of Sugar Bear playing with a little squeaky toy, but it was shaped like a little bong. And I put like some Jamaican music, and she was running around the living room with it. That was my most watched video because it was funny. It was funny to see a dog running around with that around the living room. And I tagged BarkBox in it. But yeah, it's just, being able to look at what my target audience thought that was really, really funny. They thought it was cute. I know that, when I look at a lot of the people who have Chihuahuas, not all of them, but most of them, it's usually older ladies. They get their Chihuahua to be their little baby. So I'm targeting and trying to use music. Like I'm using a lot of fun, like 70s music in my videos. Because I feel like, maybe that'll better target them, and it's working. It's just just keeping your ears open and thinking about who you're trying to appeal to and the things that are important to them. For those in the bookish industry, I don't know if you guys are like following the music that's being used in reels, but Sleep Token is blowing up in the book talk community right now because they're a very, romantic, mysterious, band. And obviously they're one of the biggest bands in the world, but their music aesthetically fits really well with like the dark romance style books. So you're seeing those songs being used in a lot of reels related to book talk. It's like little itty bitty things that, once you catch on to it, you're like, this is the music that my audience is listening to. This is the aesthetic of my audience. This is the age of my audience. This is what my audience finds interesting or, useful or sexy or whatever it is that you're trying to appeal to. And then running with that thing. For me, Chihuahuas, Mexico, I'm thinking like, oh, I'll do something cute on, Cinco de Mayo, maybe. I'll do something cute on 420 because I've got this bark box full of 420 products. Now I'll do a photo shoot. Like there's always ways to think about how people in that target audience that you're trying to appeal to, like what is going to be entertaining to them. And even if you don't think it's funny, I don't necessarily listen to the music that I'm putting on Sugar Bear's reels, but it's cute and it makes sense. And it fits her personality, and it fits the audience that I'm trying to grow for this account. So again, just little things.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, right, although you're saying maybe it's not the kind of music that you'd like and stuff, you have just sat there for like 10 minutes and talked passionately about this Instagram account. So I think that's another important thing, though. If you love it, it's much easier to do.
It is.
It's not difficult to take videos of your adorable puppy and think of fun things to do with her because you're doing fun things with your adorable puppy. So
yeah. And I'm not editing them, or I think that people way overthink it. I'll post her. You guys will see how simple it is. Most of it is, sometimes I'll add some text with like CapCut, but for the most part, I'm just recording videos of her playing in the yard or running around the living room. Like I'm not doing anything crazy. Hopefully that shows up. Sometimes, yeah, it did.
Yeah. It's not just the music though. With Instagram, TikTok, if it's still going to exist, and all the other things, look at what is trending in your niche, because there are so often fun trends that you can copy and make your own. Like if you watch makeup videos, there's always a certain fun makeup trend. There's always a style that you can, jump on, a funny gag or something. I mean,
yes. And I tested it. I just posted one as a collaborative post on the eRank Instagram because we wanted to see how we're thinking about doing that with some of the other like influencers who make videos about eRank, and we just wanted to see how one performed. So I did one with Sugar Bear in it, but there's a trend now. I'm seeing it in the Chihuahua scene where people will say, showing my Chihuahua things she's never seen before. And it'll be like, the Chihuahua in front of like a computer screen, and you're showing the Chihuahua a funny picture or a terrible picture and watching like their face look horrified. But I did one of researching the word Chihuahua, and I Yeah, but that was a trend that I had seen pop up where it was showing my dog things that they'd never seen before. And it was really cute. And it ended up, performing okay. It wasn't selling anything. It wasn't really focusing on anything. It was just a silly little video and people seemed to like it. So again, just don't think so hard about it. Look at if you notice something that a lot of people in your industry are doing, slap something together and post it and see if you can make some magic with it. And then if that works, repeat the process. So I've acknowledged that the video, my best performing reel, and it doesn't have like thousands of views. It's got like 95 views, which is, like Pam said, reels right now aren't doing nearly as good as they did a few years ago. If I would have done this like last year, I would have ended up with thousands of views. But I'm acknowledging that one of the reels is doing better than the others. So I'm going to repeat, the formula, and I'm going to keep, doing something similar and see if we can do it again. I did want to say, Emily had mentioned I hit the top 1% on Etsy in 3 years thanks to HAA. I'm now at 17,000 plus sales, but she worked her booty off to get there. And I think that that's what many people they don't focus on enough. They make it seem like, I made this many sales and you can too. When in reality, you don't know what led them to make that many sales, how long they were at it before they made that many sales. If they already had a big like influencer audience somewhere that they drove to their shop to make those sales, like you never know.
Oh, absolutely. It's usually a combination of a whole load of things where your sales came from. So,
yeah.
But it's lovely to hear all the positive things from guys. So many of you are doing well, and doing well is different for everybody. Like, yeah, you look and you go, oh, I'm not doing well because I'm not like Caitlin Minimalist or something. I'm not making this number of sales in a day. But look at what your goals should be. Like, when I started, my goal was I needed to pay my bills. Well, currently my bills are paid. Am I a top 1% seller? No. Are my bills paid? I think that's good enough. That's a good goal to have. And then, give yourself all the other goals. It could be, will your Etsy shop pay your car payments, or buy a nice holiday? These are good goals to start with to be a success, and then build your way up. Or like Starla, have 90 views on one of your reels of your cute puppy, and then next time you get 190 views on something, and you'll be delighted with that.
Exactly. Little goals. And Kay had said, I've worked so hard for 7 to 8 years and have 9,500 plus sales, and I've constantly supported Etsy. I still love Etsy, but I need some technical support and can't get any help. But she'd also said, I'm listening to all this chat about Instagram, but why attract an audience to an Etsy shop that has technical problems? This was just ignore everything we said about driving traffic to the Etsy shop. If you're having a major problem with Etsy, obviously, like what we were saying is not directed specifically at you. If you're having a technical problem with Etsy and it's actually keeping you from making sales, right now might be a good time to, again, not keep all your eggs in one basket. Consider, adding an additional place to sell, like keep your Etsy shop open. And hopefully you'll be able to get in contact, because it does take them a long time to get back with you. But then maybe try Shopify. If you're selling handmade, try Go Imagine. And then, when it comes to advertising, like driving traffic from other places, swap out your Etsy link for that other place, at least until you get the Etsy stuff sorted out. And she said, I've been emailing Etsy for a month. I've had sellers where it's taken 2, 3, up to 4 months to get that response. And it really sucks. All we can say is keep at it.
Hopefully they'll sort you out soon. If you're having trouble, a thing to do is ping them on some of the social media, some of the more ranty sites as well. But if you ping their social media, they usually get back to you. But all this talk of doing social media stuff, that is future proofing you in case things go wrong with Etsy or when they've gone wrong with Etsy. Because as Starla says, you can change out your link and you have an audience that you can direct somewhere else. So if a post starts going viral and your shop isn't working properly just now, oh, Starla's vanished. If your shop isn't working properly just now, then you can change that link and still drive the traffic wherever you want it to be. You've probably all seen on some of the places, there'll be accounts where people go like, Etsy has shut down my shop, or I'm having trouble in my shop, and then people will find them through that and their customers know where to buy from them. So yeah, don't be put off by us talking about all these things, because it's not just for, she's back again, it's not just for your Etsy shop. Growing social media, don't, so many people do this, they'll do their social media and everything is go to my Etsy shop, go to link to my Etsy shop, and they go, why isn't my social media growing? Grow your social media. Like Starla's Instagram for her cute little pup might one day be making loads of affiliate money from something, might be leading to a shop, but right now she's growing herself some views, she's looking at making things that can build an audience on Instagram. And if you're posting on Facebook or wherever you're posting, it's to engage an audience on there, and then you can mobilize them wherever you need them to go once they've been built.
Learn the territory. Learn the territory before you attempt to jump in and start selling. You have to learn, you know, what your audience there likes. And even if you feel like you know your target audience, you know, you might know your target audience, but you might not know what they're doing on Instagram. Just like Miranda has so many Etsy sellers, like or Etsy customers. Miranda has so many sales. Her Instagram is, I mean, I talk about it all the time. It is the most beautiful Instagram account ever. And, you know, I just told Miranda to use sleep token music on her reels, and she's like, "Oh, noted." Like it's just little, you know, little itty bitty things that you pick up on here and there, and you know, you never know how much you could be missing just by not spending time on the platform casually before you start marketing on it, before you start slamming it with products. You know, you've got to understand, you know, what the platform is for. So
yeah, I want to grab Emily's thing. Etsy feels so risky right now, it's scary. Right, everyone in chat just now, let me know, just a rough guess, numbers, how many people have you seen posting that they've had trouble with their Etsy shop, they've had trouble with it being shut down or anything? Think about how many numbers you see. You know, how many have you seen in the past week? And I know it all seems scary. I absolutely agree with that. But how many sellers are there on Etsy just now? It is millions. So yes, our shops shut down. Do Etsy support not help people? Is things frightening? Absolutely. You see people complaining about Etsy all the time. Absolutely. But there are millions of sellers on Etsy. So even if you saw 100 a day, which I bet we're not seeing 100 a day, that's a fraction of a percent of Etsy sellers. It feels a lot because millions is a number that our brain can't comprehend. Millions is a lot.
And in one of my recent videos, I acknowledged that like the really, really successful sellers aren't the ones sitting in Facebook groups making posts about how well they're doing and how much they love Etsy, because they're busy. They're building their business. Mostly what you see and why it feels like there is a lot is because when someone needs to vent, they go to Facebook and they vent. So it feels like you're seeing a lot more, when in reality, on that video, I had a ton of comments from people saying, I'm glad that you said this because I'm one of those successful sellers. I'm never on Facebook. The only reason I'm here is because I turn your videos on in the background while I'm working because my shop is so busy. I don't have the time to sit on Facebook and complain. Like, I'm busy building my business. So we also have to remember that, like, it's like when you go and you look at reviews for a restaurant, most of the reviews that you find for restaurants aren't good because people don't think to leave a good review when something goes well. They get on their phone and leave a bad review when something goes awful because they're mad. And it's kind of the same, you know, we get Etsy customers like that every once in a while where you're like, if you would have just messaged me, like I would have helped you. You know, people, when they get mad, they just want to vent it somewhere.
Absolutely. So there are problems. We're definitely not denying there are problems. We get angry about stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
It's nowhere near as big as it feels.
Yeah.
And that it's big, and Etsy needs to fix things, and they have been talking. There are baby steps towards fixing things, but do not run an Etsy shop or not try and build your business because of all of this, because 99.99% of sellers are okay. I'm not going to say they're doing okay. That most aren't making massive numbers of sales, but you know, there still is the potential there. There still is, if you're selling stuff that you legally can be selling and stuff, the biggest chance is you're not going to get your shop shut down.
Yeah. We did miss Wild Angle. I love the He-Man photo. We missed your question, and it's way up here, so I wanted to grab it. But what do you think about listing expensive products on Etsy? Basically asking how to advertise expensive items. I mean, really, you have to justify price points with professionalism and making sure that you're standing out against, you know, people who might be in your industry selling items at cheaper costs because the quality isn't there. Really, what you need to be expressing is quality, the handmade nature. If you've got the ability to get some great photos of yourself making your product, that way people can, you know, see it. You've got maybe some listing videos of you creating, adding that personal touch, which is a little bit of yourself, even if you're not comfortable showing your face. Making sure you're able to show your hands crafting, creating. These are all things that are going to help to build trust. I would also not skimp on professional branding. Don't try to just toss together like some clip art together and make a logo. Pay a little bit of money, get yourself some beautiful branding, a nice logo. Make sure that when you're packaging your products, you're doing so in a really nice way. It's the little things. One of mine and Mark's favorite brands of chocolate is Vasquez chocolate. And we'll usually pay over $100 for like a little thing of chocolate, but it's because of the way that they package it, and they give you a little guide and tell you what wine to drink with it. And they tell you how to eat it, and they tell you to smell it. And then they tell you every single ingredient and where it was sourced from and why it's special. Like, they turn a relatively simple product, which is chocolate, into a whole experience. And they do that through their packaging, which, you know, when you're buying $100 little box of chocolates, they probably don't pay very much, you know, in comparison to invest that money into nice packaging. So, you know, making sure that you're enhancing every step of the experience in order to validate the prices that you're charging. That's the big thing, because, you know, premium prices, you need to have premium branding to go with it, premium packaging, a whole premium experience.
Yep. But for how to do it on Etsy as well, there's no difference really. You know, you do your keyword research, you find out what your customers are searching for and things. You've just got to be honest about the people who are searching for and purchasing cheap items that are similar to yours are not your customers. Your customers are the people who are looking for luxury things, properly handmade, decent things. So you look for, what are these kind of customers searching for? And I know a lot of people worry an expensive item isn't going to have the same conversion as a very cheap item because people have to come back and look at it more. But you're not penalized for having an expensive item on Etsy. Firstly, Etsy looks at other things as well, other metrics like hearts and views. If someone keeps on coming back to the item, that's still a good metric. Etsy hopefully can understand that this is someone pressing their nose against the glass and going, when I make enough money, I want to buy this thing. The other thing, what does Etsy care about? Etsy cares about making money. If it can show your item 10 times and get $1,000 sale, I'm just inventing numbers, compared to showing someone else's listing 10 times, it might sell more often but make $200. Etsy's gonna like yours. You know, yours is still a better deal for Etsy, so you're not penalized. Only thing to watch out for is like the purchase protection program. Watch if you're going over, was it $250 just now?
Yeah.
You might need to take out your own insurances and things to cover that, or even possibly put the $200 items on Etsy and your $500 items on your own website or something. But yeah, go for it. That's the kind of stuff that should be on Etsy. It's not penalized. Yes, it's hard. It's hard for everybody to stand out, but you don't want to stand out against the people who are coming on Etsy to buy something for $10. It's a different thing.
Now we did have one more question that we'll grab about the tariffs. Do you think Etsy will collect new customs tax when, as a seller, we are sending a parcel to the USA from Turkey? Etsy's not collecting it, right? Etsy's not collecting it.
It depends, because Etsy does collect some taxes if the US put in some kind of rules that it's to be paid at the point of sale. I think some customs are sorted out with some shipping carriers that they're paid up front. So it's possible, but Etsy has not said anything about this yet. So currently, no, it's likely that your buyer will get charged when it enters the country.
Yeah. Speedbird said, I don't think newbies need professional branding. You can do great things with Canva nowadays. Marketing is more important. People look at products, not stores. I don't know. I think Miranda would disagree with you, though, because Miranda kicks butt with branding and aesthetic. And we're talking about sellers who have, like, we're talking about like some of the top sellers in the world who are aesthetically branded. I'm working on a program right now that will be kind of like a companion program to the Handmade Alpha Academy that is all about the psychology of branding and neuromarketing and how brands like physically occupy a space in the human brain. So I disagree scientifically. That might be the case for you, but science definitely opposes that because branding, it influences our perception, similar to how we might say that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover and you shouldn't judge people by their appearance, but it's human instinct to do so because it alerts us of risks. If I enter an Etsy shop and I would like to buy $1,000 necklace, but that Etsy shop has no logo, no cover, like no banner, no cover photo, no shop owner photo, no about section, I'm immediately going to feel suspicious because that shop did not take the time to fill out their shop. And if it's just a bunch of cheap clip art and it looks super duper unprofessional, I'm going to question the validity of the super nice piece of jewelry and whether or not that person made that piece of jewelry. So, and maybe they did. Maybe their skill is jewelry making, but not so much graphic design. But these are how customers are going to perceive things at a glance. On average, we have 7 seconds to take someone and build a perception of how they feel about our brands. Our Etsy cover photo and our logo are not only the first thing that they see, but our Etsy cover photo is the largest piece of real estate in our entire shop. To not optimize that to the very best of our ability when Etsy gives it to us is a huge, huge red flag to some consumers, because why wouldn't you take the time to do that? So again, I think that it's really important. And like Miranda said, branding is nice if you're selling a feeling. I'm selling cozy times. Brands that create a feeling are the brands that are the most successful. The biggest brands in the world create a feeling. Think about brands like Tiffany & Co. They're the most iconic brand when it comes to their branding, because of, their Tiffany blue. Think about Coca-Cola. They sell nostalgia. They sell, the idea of sitting and drinking a glass bottle Coke at Christmas time. That's like their whole winter marketing is just the old commercials and the polar bears and Santa Claus drinking the Coca-Cola. We see that with all major brands. So yeah, there is a lot of science behind it. I've got great book recommendations about it. So, just a thought. Just if head to handmadealphaacademy.com, and right on my homepage is my library, and there's several books about branding in there, and they're phenomenal resources if you're not sure where to start.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you both there, right? Which is weird because you're contradicting. Starla is absolutely right about the psychology, but one thing she did say in there is most people, who is your target audience? And yeah, some people do look at everything. Like Starla will absolutely look at everything there. Some people just click add to cart without even opening the image. So is your customer that kind of fast customer, or are they taking the time? The second type of the first type of customer, the fast customer, is not going to be put off by good branding. But the
You'll
second
never
type,
lose by having good branding.
Exactly. And I will say, if you've got something like a very expensive quality item, you are more likely to have the slower type of customer that is spending the time getting the feeling in your shop. So it depends on your type of person. If you're selling $2 keychains that people just hit add to cart, it's possibly a whole lot less important. You could be focusing in other places. But if you're building a quality brand, it doesn't hurt to make sure that you're putting quality into every step of it.
Yeah. And you had said, basically, I agree for your own website, but not Etsy. But if you have both, once you've established your branding, it takes the guesswork out of everything, because you have a color palette that you use for your Etsy shop, for your website, for your social media. You don't have to think about it. You already know what your color palette is. You already know what imagery to use. It takes the guesswork out of it. Just like, it would be weird if McDonald's opened one store and all their branding was purple. Like, it wouldn't make sense, because we already know that McDonald's branding is red and yellow. Just keeping it consistent throughout everywhere that McDonald's exists, because that's the brand. That's what a brand is. A brand is all of those things together that you can apply no matter where you are. Just like Miranda, if she decides, she sells on Faire, she sells on Etsy, she has a fantastic social media. If Miranda decides that she's going to sell, somewhere else, she doesn't have to think about it. She can just take all of everything that she's already established and put it somewhere else, and you don't have to think about it as hard. But yes, I do agree. You can get a lot done on Canva. The only issue with it is you don't get to own it. That's the only problem that I see with designing a logo on Canva, is that it's not uniquely yours. So there is the unfortunate possibility of somebody being able to replicate exactly what you have, and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't own it. So that would be my only issue with it. But I mean, I do it. I absolutely do it. I'm building a new brand right now, and I made my logo in Canva. So yeah. Anyway, guys,
that's it. You have to get started. So exactly. If the branding is stopping you getting started, leave it till a later date. Yeah. But it is a good thing. What Starla said there, how it makes it easier so you don't have to think. If you have your brand set up, if you know what colors you use, if you know what fonts, then you have less to think about, because the more often you have to think of things, that exhausts you, and you're going to do less. If you just go, yep, I know what colors I'm using, I know my logos here, it's much easier.
Just like the eRank thumbnails, like Pam's able to make those every week because she knows what the eRank logo is, and we now have the pretty new colors, and it's just like, where now all I need is a picture of Starla, a picture of Pam, and she knows what fonts to use. And what font is eRank? I can't remember. It used to be Poppins. I can't remember what the new font is.
Poppins?
Poppins was our original font, yeah.
Oh,
Poppins.
was it? It was
Yeah.
Overpass last I remembered. It's Birdcage, Grotesque, and Inter just now, I think.
I will never remember that. Don't ever ask me to tell you what the font is.
It's in the brand kit in Canva.
The brand kit. That's another good thing about having your branding colors and everything established is you can create a brand kit in Canva and then just apply it to everything that you do, and it makes things super easy. I'm thinking about, I haven't even mentioned this. The alphas, I'm going to be getting rid of that kind of pale yellowy color, the pale red color, and the pale blue color that I use for everything, especially my Instagram. I'm going to be changing that probably at the end of the year, and people are probably going to freak out because those have been my branding colors for like 5 years. But I need a fresh change. I'm sick of it. It's very dull and boring, and I want it to be bright and fun. But anyway, guys.
So there, you're not stuck with your branding. You can change the branding. eRank did it. Starla's doing it. I personally do it every week. So,
all right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. We went 10 minutes over, but I think it was a good discussion. And Speedbird, we appreciate you. Thank you. Obviously, if you're good at designing things, like, go for it. Like, I've seen some logos out there where the person just didn't have the design skills, even with the assist of Canva. And I'm just like, you should probably hire, a little help. But if you're good at it, just take advantage of what you can use when you can afford it. But guys, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you.
See you guys.
Bye.
It wasn't easy, no, but with eRank, we're trending now. I dreamed of topping all the charts. I wanted sales to blow up. Remember long nights crafting, no one clicking on my stuff. But I signed up for eRank. Now my shop's a rising star.